after the introductory video, I think this necessarily needs to be the first video of this channel because this is my story. This is my origin story. This is the story about where I came from and why I'm doing what I'm doing today and how that came to be. And what I'm imagining that's going to happen is that you're going to probably go out and look at other videos first and see some of the other content and the real concrete concepts that I talk about on this journey that I want to take you on. And then you're going to probably come back to this video and say, okay, let me see who this guy is, so you'll find a little bit more. Well, that's what this video is all about. It's about, to give you a really good idea about who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing and how I got started. I'm not going to go back to my childhood, but I am going to take you back to when I got out of high school and what I did after that, because I was like 18 years old. I had just graduated from high school, and I went back. I went out one day, and I went to a recruiter's office and enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. And I came back home. I remember coming back home and telling my parents that I had just enlisted in the military, and they were like, "What?" I didn't even talk to them. Didn't even ask them first. Didn't consult with them first. And when I think back on it, I was like, that must have hurt, to for your parents to think that you didn't even have that much thought, to talk to them first, or just to bounce it off, or to hear their ideas and their opinions, or to take their advice. But I didn't. I did it myself, and I came back and they said, well, when are you leaving? And I said, in October. This was July. They said, you're leaving in October already? Where are you going? So I had to tell them the whole thing. So I remember when I went I left in October, and I went to San Antonio, Texas. And I remember we got off the plane one evening, and there were 48 of us crowded into a little room, and our tech sergeant, his name was Sergeant Butinsky. And I remember he looked at all of us, and one of the questions, he gave us his briefing. He was one of those tough, sergeants like you see on like Officer and a Gentleman, if you ever seen that movie, or, like you see on TV if you've never been in the military. Those guys that get up in your face and holler at you, And, he came off as a really tough guy. And I had already decided, though, that when I went in the military, because I had a background in sports, I played football and ran track all through, and wrestled, all through school. And so I just made up my mind before I left. I said, there's nothing that these guys are going to throw at me that I'm not going to be able to deal with. So I really worked out extra hard, because I said, these 6 weeks of basic training, I'm going to get right through this. And I'm going to keep a low profile. I don't want to be noticed. I just want to get through this and get on to the next step. And Tech Sergeant Putinsky, he asked all of us, there were 48 of us, and he asked us, he said, I need one dorm chief who's going to be the boss of everybody, and I need 4 squad leaders. Who thinks that they could have one of these positions? They could do a good job at one of these positions? And I didn't even think about raising my hand, because I said, I just want to keep a low profile. I don't want this. I'm just going to sit here and wait and see what everybody else thinks. So there were guys that, raised their hands, and they said, why do you think you should have this position? And they said, because I was the captain of the football team in college, and I think that I can do this, sir. And those are the kind of answers that they gave, So he chose 4 squad leaders and a dorm chief that evening. And then I thought, yes, the first part of my plan is working out. And then after about 2 days, you could see that Sergeant Butinsky wasn't very happy with his selections. And so, and everybody was kind of wondering what was going to happen. Well, I remember one night I was in the chow line. We were in line for dinner, and we had to go through this process where you had to sidestep down the line with your tray. And then there was a certain point where you were up in front of a mirror. And when you got in front of the mirror, you had to do a salute and an about face, and then turn back around, and then pick up your tray, and then continue down the line, sidestepping down the line. Well, I did that one night, and as soon as I had finished doing the about face, I heard this voice, Airman Smith! And he was talking to me. And I was like, sir, yes, sir. Get over here. Sir, yes, sir. So I went back in, I did an about face, turned around to him, saluted him, and stood at attention. He said, at ease. And so I went at ease. And he said, where did you learn how to do that about face? And I was like, I don't know, sir. I taught myself, sir. He said, okay. He said, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I want you in my office. Sir, yes, sir. Because you're going to be the next dorm chief. Sir, yes, sir. I said, get out of here. Go on back in the child line. Yes, sir. So I saluted him, did an about face. And once I was facing away from him, I was like, damn. I didn't want that. I was like, I don't want to be the dorm chief. I was going to be the boss of everybody. I didn't want that. I didn't want to do that. And so I ended up being the dorm chief. And I was the dorm chief for the entire 6 weeks. So why am I telling you this story? Because that was the first incident that I can remember when I was thrust into a position of leadership. During my time in the military, I was also selected to train other new people coming in. And it was another thing that I was selected to train people. Then, once I get out of the military, I went to college. And in college, I became a dorm chief. So I was responsible for one of my wings. And the reason that I wanted to do that was because I had a little bit more confidence after this experience in the military. And I had a little bit of confidence in myself, much more than I had back when I was in high school. And so I managed that situation very well. Then, after that, I became one of the tri-captains on the football team. I got the first ever senior leadership award for my team, for the university. They never gave it, but they came to that idea that that should be an award that they give out because of my leadership that I displayed on the football team. And, I never even thought about this before. All these little pieces that kept coming together and it kept coming up in my life. And then when I got into the workforce, I started to work for Nike, and I was promoted in 12 years. I was promoted like 5 times in 12 years. And all the reason, and the last one was the one that surprised me the most when I was promoted to sales director for all of Italy. So I had to manage like $400 million worth of business. I had a big sales team. And the reason that I was selected, and I talked to my boss about this, the guy whose place I took, because he went on to take on a position in Nike Europe at the European level. And one of the reasons that he told me was, he said, there's 2 guys to choose from. One of them is technically better than you. The other one is you. And you don't have the technical skills that he has, but you have the leadership skills that we need to develop the people in the organization. And that's the one we're giving more weight to when we did the promotion. That's why you were chosen. It's not because you're the best salesperson, because I wasn't. But it's because we need people to develop human resources. We need someone who's going to help people to grow. And we think that we've seen you do this, and we believe that you're the right person for the job. And so, I kept getting this over and over and over again. And I slowly began to understand that there's something that I have. There's a certain capability that I have that even if I didn't see it in myself initially, someone else saw it in me, and they saw this repeatedly over my career. And so one of the things that I realized was, then I went on to Levi's, and I was the country managing director for Levi's. One of the things that I realized over all these years was that, when I was a country managing director, when I was a sales director, one of the things that I didn't enjoy, and I'll just be completely honest with you, I did not enjoy going out into retail stores and talking to customers about sellout and all that stuff. I didn't enjoy that. You had to do it. It was part of the job. But one of the things that I really enjoyed the most, there were 2 things that I really enjoyed the most. One of them was giving motivational speeches to my sales team to help them to get motivated to sell. I really enjoyed doing that. And I loved communicating, and I loved being on stage, and I loved doing that. And the other thing that I really loved was, and this was the thing that I loved more than anything else, I loved helping people to grow. That's what I really loved. I loved helping people to grow. And it was such great satisfaction for me to know that I helped someone to grow, someone that it was that was under me, that somebody, one of my employees, one of the people who I was asked to manage, and I was able to help them to grow to a point where they got a promotion, even if they had to leave my department, but they got a promotion. Someone saw in them the ability to do more, to have more responsibility. And so I thought, that's a little feather in my cap too, that I was able to bring out that piece of that person to allow them to be able to be promoted. And I just thought that's what I love to do. And I loved that so much that that's what prompted me to leave. That's what prompted me to say, you know what? I'm not completely happy here, even though I should be. Because the thing that I want to do full time is to help people to grow. And that's why I left. That's why I left the corporate world, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. That's why I've been doing this for the last 20 years. The only thing is, and which is one of the reasons why we're here on this channel, is because it's not about just coaching. It's about the transition that I made from one-to-one coaching to one-to-many coaching. From doing coaching face-to-face to doing it digitally through coaching online, through video courses and seminars online, and we'll even talk about some events. But this is really about digital coaching, and not necessarily one-to-one. It could be group coaching. It could be one-to-many coaching, and have different forms. But this is the journey that I went on, and so I started there. And when I got to the point where I said it's time to leave, because I realize now what I'm here on this earth to do. And if you've never ever had this this realization that you are here, and I really believe this. I believe that everybody is here on this earth for a specific reason. And if you don't believe that, then that's okay. That's fine. But I believe that. And I know that there are other people who believe that too. If you've ever been in any of Tony Robbins' courses, he believes that too. And that's what he talks about. But I just believe it. It's just something that I feel. That I believe, and I'll tell you exactly what it is before I end this part of the video, or before I end this video. Once I left the corporate world, I went to a seminar that was highly influenced by what Tony Robbins teaches. It was by some guy named Roberto Re in here in Italy, but it was the same stuff that Tony Robbins teaches. As a matter of fact, he took Tony's model and brought it to Italy. He was the pioneer here in Italy, did that. Anyway, and in this leadership course, it was about personal leadership. Because, and this might be a little tidbit for you that could be interesting if you have a small business or a big business and you're managing people. Before you think about leadership and leading others, you first have to be able to lead yourself. Anyway, so one of the things that we did in that seminar was to talk about what is your purpose in life. And I, under his guidance, I came to the conclusion that I believe that I'm here on this earth to use my communicative skills to help as many people as I can to improve their quality of life. And so you might ask us, well, what's that have to do with coaching in companies? Well, you can do that in a lot of different ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be one-to-one coaching for somebody who wants to change some aspect of their life like I did, who wants to leave their job and get another job or start up a business or something like that. It could be that's where you are in your life. It could be that you're thinking about doing something similar to what I did and leaving your job and starting a new career, starting a new path in life. Or maybe you're retired now and you want to think about how to, make your knowledge and experience available to others, whatever it is. But, I believe that that's a necessary place to start, is to think about, why are you here on this earth? What are you here to do? What are you here to accomplish? What are you here to leave? What legacy do you want to leave? What do you want people to say about you when you're not here anymore? or when you're no longer in their lives and you've moved on to do something else, or they've moved on. I just think that that's such an interesting and necessary reflection to have. So I'm going to stop here now. And the next part that I'm going to talk about in another video is about the coaching business and how I got into the coaching business. And, you might find it helpful because, if you were just like me, you say, I have a lot of experience, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to package it. I don't know how to do courses and seminars. I don't know how to teach people stuff in a very effective way. I've never done that before in a very structured way. And so I didn't know that stuff either. And so I started to think about, how am I going to be able to do this if this is really what I want? And so that's going to be what I'm going to talk about in the next video. Okay? We're going to talk about the coaching business and how you could think about getting into it like I did. Okay? Take care. So if you think this might be an interesting journey to go on with me, subscribe to the channel. And, always pay attention to what's in the description, because there might be some links in there for you. It might have some resources. That's what I see in the future, of having some resources for you that you might want to download or whatever. Okay. So stay with me, because I have so much stuff to say. Here's another little tidbit for you about content creation. I made a list of all the topics that I want to talk to you about and that I'm going to put on this channel. And right now, I'm at 109 things on this list. They're all listed right here. And so I got a lot more things today to say. So stay with me here, and I'll see you in the next video.